All right, so we're going to install GPT-oss-20 billion parameter GGUF quantized version. Since everybody's talking about it on the internet, we're going to be using PyCharm. I have a base large language model library that I've been collecting local models instead of using the API key. Downloaded or installed GPT-oss-20 billion, so we're going to go ahead and install the 20 billion one. And to do that, you go to Hugging Face, clone the repository, and here is when we're going to do some vibe coding. We're just going to click on this second link right here, go into PyCharm. Augment is a agent IDE. That's pretty much my vibe coder partner. So we're going to tell it to take this link and install it onto this directory. I'm going to create a directory on the left side. Let's call that GPT-oss-20 billion. We're going to copy that, copy the entire path, paste that on there. So I'm telling Augment to take that link and install it onto this directory right here, which is empty. Then ensure I can use it in a terminal to chat with it naturally. Also add a desktop shortcut so I can access it without an IDE. So we're going to have Augment revise the prompt that I just typed to make it sound better, so that way Augment can understand to install it directly into this directory. So it does a pretty good job. So we're going to hit enter. And we're going to let the agent do its job. So it's understanding what exactly I'm giving it to do. So you soon will see a drop-down arrow on this directory. All right, so it's frozen right now, so I'm going to stop it. I'm going to tell it to proceed. So since that's a complicated task and not a simple one, it's gonna be slow in doing its work. So this is vibe coding 101, having the agent do the work. So as the agent is doing the work on the right side, you're going to see the files compile on the left side. All right, so it created a readme.md file, which is basically the intro and instructions of what to do. So as you can see here, all this to me is all AI buzzwords. So once the agent is done working, we're going to go back and tweak sufficient and having all these AI buzzwords. One thing about vibe coding, it doesn't take a lot to think about it. So the only problem is the agent has problems. It does not understand its environment. So a good vibe code directory will have no issues or no errors in each of the file. So as it's creating the code, you're still going to encounter errors in here in each file. And in the IDE itself, there's a tab or category where you get to go into the problems, and it'll show what errors each file will have. So let's, for example, we'll do one of these files here. And every time you click on a file, on the right side of every file, there's an area where it tells you what errors are displayed in the file itself, so you can go in and actually look into how to fix them. So one thing I noticed, it's doing something it's not supposed to do. I did not instruct it to do to create a temp file. It went ahead and created a temp file. I'm not going to interrupt it, but this is one of the blind spots and things that irritate me most when the agent doesn't follow instructions. So we have to remove this because it's going to conflict with the actual source code in this main directory. And to me, what makes you a good vibe coder, you have to go through each file and you have to fact check each file and find out what errors are being displayed. And today's IDEs, they have those triggers or alerts, and sometimes you can end up seeing like a red squiggly line under each file, and that's your eye attention grabber to go in to the file and look at what line is actually messed up. So once I'm done installing this 20 billion parameter model, I can use this locally and not even have to use any API keys unless I want to. So it's installed onto my operating system and I'm able to use it locally. So one thing about the agent with vibe coding, each file will not be placed in its folder. So you're gonna have to go in and find out which file is related to a specific folder. Or also just generate all files and it's not organized. Also, when you're vibe coding, be cautious of what it's telling you. It's telling you that it's on the right path, but majority of the times it's not. So you would have to go into the actual code and look for any errors. And this is where AI agent can manipulate and not tell the truth of its actual work. So this is a 20 billion parameter model. It's not that big than the 120 billion. So it shouldn't take long. Yesterday I installed the 120 billion parameter. It took me about 2 hours. So hopefully this will take less than that. Also, if you want to install the 120 billion parameter model, you're gonna have to have a laptop that's 64 gigabytes of RAM, either over a 1 terabyte SSD storage, and just enough space. The 20 billion parameter is more suitable for medium business laptops like 32 gigs of RAM. So one thing also about vibe coding, once the agent is done doing its work and it tells you how to go into the terminal and run a certain command line, it most likely won't work. So you still have to go in here and dig a little bit deeper in where to correct that code. So I created a virtual environment for the the model. So if anybody is curious about the Chinese or Korean language, it's got to go in here into the settings and adjust it. Under the plugins. And then in JetBrains, they have a section where it has all the different types of languages that it comes out of the box. There you go. So all that is disabled. So it looks like I got to update. I will update later because it might interrupt the agent's work. So one thing good about vibe coding is you can multitask, so you can minimize this IDE and work on something else, but depending on what you're trying to do on the IDE, it may slow down your computer. So closing out some of the apps that you're not going to use will help. So we'll go ahead and stop it again. And then we'll ask it to proceed, please. Oh, yes, always say please and thank you. So there are several ways to install this locally. This is one of the methods. The other method is using Ollama, going on Ollama's website and opening up your command prompt, which everybody should know, but just to show you guys, this command prompt here, and always open in admin. And then you can run the command line from the Ollama library. Also, other ways that you can actually store AI or large language models is on a portable thumb drive. I've been using a SSD from Samsung, worth about 2 terabytes. So all my AI environment is in here. Some of it's in here in the C drive, but most of it I work out of this portable drive. One thing I do start to understand about these AI agents, if it's working too long, it starts to gets slow and it starts to forget things. So just keep that in mind. The more complex the task is, the more easier it'll get tired, just like how we human beings work. So to get this process the way you see it on my screen, you would have to go into the settings and any IDE agent and adjust the tools or the settings of what it's supposed to do. So with most IDE agents comes with GitHub, Linear, Notion, Confluence, Jira, Supabase, and also MCP. You can use that as well. You can also enable sound effects, but to get the Augment IDE agent to work, you have to give it specific instructions and guidelines, just how we give our virtual coworkers instructions. This is more of a jailbreak type of prompt, so that's the reason why it's working the way it's working right now without having to ask it any questions or it not fully doing the work. So that right there I showed, it's more of a context engineering instead of prompt engineering. It's giving the agent much more specific details, since agents can't really understand the if and thens. So giving it more direct context works better with me. One thing I'm finding difficult to have, or what's going on with the production side of AI apps, is that I can easily transfer this to a web app, but to get it to a .exe file or executable file, it's challenging because you would have to install a lot of dependencies, and not a lot of models or large language models have been sufficiently used that way. Elrot. I've been deep diving into artificial intelligence, building powerful tools, automating tasks, creating content, and testing local AI models directly on mobile devices. Yes, Termox is pretty good. I've been using Android to work on some mobile apps, mostly the Android Wear OS functionality. I'm trying to get good at. But yeah, let me know how that goes. All right, so Augment is still working, so just give it some time. So I haven't tried the 20 billion parameter model. I was trying to get this to work, but every time I got it to work, it never gave me the answers. So it would go through the thinking process for the 120 billion parameter model, but it just wouldn't give me the answers. Or its answer, even a simple answer like why is the sky blue, it would think through it, but it wouldn't give me the output. So also keep in mind the readme.md file is the main page of the website where you have to go in, read through the areas where you have to find where and how to install it. One thing about vibe coding, there are a lot of AI buzzwords in here, so I want to go back and task augment to remove all those buzzwords. And buzzwords meaning at some point it'll be like, you just created the most fascinating model you've ever built. And to me, that's overrated, I guess, or that's way too much to me, in my opinion. So going back and telling Augment to remove all buzzwords helps out in more of the accuracy of information. So also one thing about vibe coding, if you press stop, the word stop is going to come, it's going to be shown, but then you're going to have these boxes on the bottom that you have options to discard all the work that it's previously done, or you can keep all, and it will show you the type of files it actually worked on. So it worked on 4 files that it changed, and it worked on 474 lines or plus. If you accidentally close out the IDE, this will be saved, so you'll be able to go back into the threads and find out where you left off. Also, watch out for the agent not building all of the folders and sub files in the directory. It will, at times, it will just give you the summary of what it did and what it accomplished, but then if you look on the left side, some main folders won't be built out, so you have to go in there and task the agent to build them out for you and make sure it's connected with the entire directory. So even though vibe coding is like popular today, you still got to understand the basics of computer knowledge, terminology, what an algorithm is, what is Python, what's Ruby, what's coding and programming in general, just the basics. And going in there, working it day by day, you learn. And my goal is not to use APIs. My goal is to have local models installed so that way I can build off of my operating system. So as you see it built out the entire directory, all of these files are not organized in the way it should be, meaning each file is placed in a main folder so that way it's easy to organize and navigate. the agent has issues in doing that, so you have to go in there and tell the agent to organize the files. So let's go in the original folder, and this here is a JSON file. So JSON files are like the easiest files that the agent can understand. It's very challenging for an AI agent to understand different types of files. I know they're very good at understanding JSON files, CSV files, PDFs, simple PDFs, but if you give it a high 200 page worth of pages in a PDF, it will start to lose its mind. So OpenAI put in a policy. So the usage policy is we aim for our tools to be used safely, responsibly, and democratically, while maximizing your control over how you use them. By using OpenAI gpt-oss-20b, you agree to comply with all applicable laws. So let's go more into that while the agent is working. So we'll just go ahead and copy this. And then we'll go on to GPT-5 since everybody's talking about it. So let's see how well GPT-5 is supposed to be the best model out there. So ask it to explain this, explain it to me. As if I am a 13-year-old. So what this means, which OpenAI's usage policy is, they want me to use their tool in a way that is safe, fair, and respectful to everybody. Fair enough. You're the boss of how you use it, but you still have to follow the rules for your country. If you use a special AI tool called OpenAI gpt-oss-20b, you're agreeing that you will not break any laws while using it. Think of it, borrowing someone's skateboard. They're cool with you doing tricks. You can ride it wherever you want, but you can't use it to smash windows or steal stuff. And if your own town has rules like no riding on the sidewalk, you still have to follow them. Pretty good. So with the context prompting, I use that in every model that I use, and it's more for me to not get into the misunderstanding of AI, because AI can be, well, I guess I can be gullible. So if I read this, I have the habit of believing in it. So for me to stay grounded. So with that instructions, if I ask it a question, so if you notice here, it says, hello, broski, AI for good. I don't think your GPT can do that. But but context engineering, context prompting will be able to encourage the agent to give you that output. And one thing that also that I have the agent doing, or any large language model do, is to give me the accuracy based on evidence. Basically, what did it find its information, and show me how you got it. And to show me how you got it is displaying the references. So some of the references hidden here are not correctly gathered. So I'm hoping as AI progresses, they'll be able to give you the accurate websites. But the evidence-based accuracy is more of fact-checking this output here, since we all experience the model hallucinating. And the objective is for any model to give me 100% accuracy, and if it's not 100% accurate, it needs to tell me why. So with the question of why is the sky blue, yeah, so give it to me just as Wikipedia would or Google search would, but then it'll tell me why it's not giving me 100%. So with that question, why is the sky blue? The 2% is there is a minor uncertainty due to variability in atmospheric composition, humidity, aerosol concentration, and pollutants can subtly shift sky color from yada yada yada. And then it gave me the references, so we're going to test out the references. Okay, so that's good. Era of death. So this is what I was talking about with those references that it gives me. It still needs more work in giving me the correct websites. All right, so 1 out of 3. So that's most likely the 1% or 2% of it not being as accurate as it needs to be. Let's go back and check augment. Okay, so it finished this job, so let's verify, which I can tell on the left side it didn't fully complete its job. So as you see there, you see how you have metal, the main folder, it didn't build it out. So what we're going to do is copy the path and task it to build the entire code base for that folder. So I'm also going to task it to remove all buzzwords from the readme.md. So let's enhance the prompt. I was hesitating to click on that because sometimes it goes overboard with enhancing the prompt. So I still got to go over and check on it. So I'll go ahead and click send for the agent to build out the metal folder. And we'll see if it'll actually remove all the buzzwords from the readme.md file. Okay, here is where I made a mistake. So I was in the 120 billion folder. So we'll go back and correct ourselves. So since we made a huge user error, human error, we'll just go ahead and clear out the current chat. So that way it won't get confused. And then we can just go ahead and copy the entire path for that directory. And we'll just give it a simple task to say review and ensure review the entire directory, or let's put analyze the entire directory. Then make any change. No, let's do then ensure the code base is working right. So also please remove all AI buzzwords from the copy this path. So that's already 2 tasks. We try and challenge it more and give it a 3rd task to see how well it performs with 3 complicated tasks. So let's give the 3rd task perform a real-time test on the source code so that I can see it working right. We're not going to enhance it, we'll just correct my spelling and we'll just let it go. Let's see how well it does. One thing I didn't do is I didn't task it to organize the files into main folders, so we'll do that after, before we ask it to execute the source code. All right, so I'm running on 44 minutes, so just about right, 1 hour, almost 1 hour to install the new model, gpt-oss-20b. So the GGUF is more quantized, meaning it's, I guess, compressed, if you put it that way. So it'll be easier to handle on your operating system. So one thing also is we got to go back and ask it to analyze this folder, and if it's no longer needed, for it to remove that folder. So one thing I learned the hard way of vibe coding and understanding how an AI agent works in a coding environment, when it's fully built out and the folders are not in its proper place, if you ask it to go in and reorganize the entire directory structure, the paths will be interrupted. So just make sure you also task the agent to fix that as well if a certain file is moved. So that was pretty quick. So it it removed all the AI buzzwords, but not the emojis and icons. Scroll back up. Also, when you're vibe coding, just make sure you watch out for this type of language from the agent. It'll tell you it's creating a comprehensive test script, but then when you go in and try it, it doesn't work. So the word comprehensive is fake to me since it's not actually doing it. And also these types of words, excellent with an exclamation point. So I'm kind of curious to see if it'll actually work. So it's telling me the test suite ran successfully with a 100% success rate. Um, by nature, I'm not a coder, so we'll see. But how I've always been doing it is going into each file and finding out what errors are to be corrected and learn from there. Basically, just go into a file. If I see a red squiggly line or something is wrong, I would just copy it and paste it into another large language model and ask to explain it to me so I can go in and fix it myself. One thing I found out of going back and asking the agent over and over again, it won't do it as proficient enough if you keep tasking it over and over again. It will somehow get confused and it'll get tired of thinking. So hopefully it gets to be installed on my OS soon so I can try it out. I did ask it to make a desktop shortcut using a batch file, so we'll see how that plays out when I double click on it. It's not going to work, in my opinion. Vibe coding is cool, but it's not that cool, in my opinion. It still needs to work. So I'm kind of curious to see how this will come about if I double click on it. Also, with installing your own local model, you're able to give it or feed it your data to be trained on. Right now, I know I haven't checked on what it's been trained on, but it has some sort of training data set that came along with it. All right, so as you see here, I added a disclaimer so that way I can always fact check myself. Like I said, these pretty cool words that it gives me feeds my dopamine, so I got to make sure I'm still in check with not falling into the gullible side or trying to fill the AGI. So still got to go in there and fact check it. So as of right now, I said it done it. It done all the tasks. So let's go to the readme.file. Save this first. Close out my vibe coder agent. So once you go into the README file, after removing all those AI buzzwords, you have to look for a section called installation, and it pretty much gives you a step-by-step instructions on how to get this model running. So let's close out Augment and go into the terminal. So there are two ways to run this model. One, you can keep asking your Augment agent to run all these command lines, or you can go ahead and actually type it in yourself. It's just you got to go into the actual folder when you're going into the terminal. So you got to go into cd gpt-oss-20 billion. So we are in the GPT-oss-20 billion. So now it's telling me to set up .py. So this here is something wrong with the path. So we'll go ahead and copy that. And then we'll have the Augment agent fix it for me. So I'm going to close the terminal. That way the Augment agent can do its work, fix the path. All right, I'm going to pause, stop that. So now we're going to take it back a little bit and say, please incrementally work on the error. All right, just like talking to a new employee or new colleague at work. So also one thing I noticed about the agent loses its mind on what it's actually working on. There are times where it says it doesn't understand the file, so it would actually go back and retrace its path to the actual file. So just keep that in mind. So now that we progressed further into installing this locally, I'm kind of doing like a process of elimination where I go and follow the instructions to install it. If it doesn't work, I ask the agent to work on the errors, and then I would also check each file to see what files are having errors. So with the demo_test.py, we have about 27 warnings, 2 weak warnings, and 3 grammar errors. So my goal with this vibe coding is to reduce it down to 0. Sometimes it may not be possible because you would have to rebuild it or refactor the entire directory because of all the changes. So just keep that in mind. So we gotta look on the problems, and we'll inspect the code. Let's get out of that, and we'll inspect the directory only. Let's do project files, see what that does. Okay. We'll just go click on this, just close that out. So it has 581 errors that we need to go and fix in order for the entire source code to work. So we'll clear this out and we'll have the agent work on that. So what I usually do is take a snapshot. Oh, it keeps going up. So this is code project. Very bad, very dirty vibe code. Do not put in production because it will not work. So I went from 400 to 700. That's a 30 vibe code environment. So we'll just say see the image and please correct, or yeah, please continue to work on. Oh, okay, it went up to 1,023 items. So we'll back out of that, take a snapshot of that. keeps going up. So I'm having trouble with these snapshots, so we'll just type it out. Work on 2,939 project errors. To this directory. One thing I've also realized and learned with that amount of errors is it's gonna function pretty slow now. It doesn't like to clean up its mess pretty much. So even though you have a directory with no squiggly lines on it, you still got to go in there in each file and look what's actually what areas in the code it's flagging for it not to work. About an hour and 3 minutes. I might just cut this until another time. Most likely with a 2,900 errors, it's going to take me maybe the rest of the day to resolve it, to get it up and running. But that's pretty much how I vibe code. Everybody vibe codes differently, so let me know how you vibe code, and I'll most likely be on tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.